You're listening to Dirty Feet, a dance podcast. I'm Allison Burns. This week, I'm offering you another on-site interview straight from the kitchen of the Ottawa Dance Directive. So it is a bit hassled and harried as the artists are in the middle of Tech Week and they only had a limited amount of time to spend with me talking about the show. So you are going to hear some background noises as they are preparing and enjoying their quick lunch before jumping right back into the studio and into the whole process of preparing for the show this coming weekend. So please forgive extra background sounds and kind of a little looser thread in terms of our interview. I spoke with who was available when they were available, when their mouth was empty and ready to talk rather than chew. So enjoy this quick but insightful interview about trust. So coming up this week at the Ottawa Dance Directive here in Ottawa is going to be a show called Trust as part of the Séries, danse. And today I'm going to talk to some of the artists behind the work and actually the creator, one of the co-creators of the work, Ted Robinson, is with me here. And Ted has a lot to brag about. So I'm really happy to have Ted with a microphone in hand answering my questions. Thanks for joining me, Ted.
Oh, my pleasure.
So you've had a long history of working in the dance industry, and you continue to do it. You actually were artistic director of Winnipeg's Contemporary Dancers for a few years.
Yep.
But however, now you're based outside of Ottawa. You formed 10 Gates Dancing, which is the company with which you're producing Trust. And it's also the company with which you started La Barn projects.
Yes, it is. The company was formed in, I think, 1997, and we've been through many things. We do a lot of things. We sort of push the edges of what a small company can do, because it's really a creative vehicle for my work, or it has been, and then. I also, because I was at Le Groupe for a long time in the dance lab, and so I started mentoring people. I don't like that word mentoring, so now I call myself a consultant. So I was doing that, and I was doing a lot of commissions and some teaching in the late 90s. So then I sort of kept doing that, and then I moved out to the country in 2005, and I started La Barn. That was Beauty, Arts, Retreat, and Nature is the acronym. And so we produced shows there, and I had intensives there, and I mentored people there or consulted with people there.
Mm-hmm. I'm very curious about that right off the bat. What rubs you the wrong way about the word mentoring?
Well, it's something that Peter Bonham actually discussed with, because he, first of all, started this thing about at the lab with you needed a mentor, and he's been my mentor, but he realized that this was a wrong kind of thing. So then he came up with the word monitor. But the mentor is really somebody who stays with somebody for a very long time. It's not just somebody you're consulting with or somebody who's watching your process for 3 weeks. So that's the main difference.
So your job as a consultant is to come in when somebody's creating work and to help them through their artistic process?
In a way, yeah. What I do is I ask some questions and what do I try and do? I try and ask the questions that will make them question more. Mm-hmm. I try not to tell them what to do. I try very hard to keep my aesthetics to myself, and the whole purpose of this, the consultations, are to make sure that they are, at least for that week or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it might be, they're working to their full potential at trying to get the best that they can out of what they're doing. And I question their vocabulary. Like there's a whole series of things that I question, and we go through, if we have the time, vocabulary, then form, then content, and all this kind of stuff.
And I imagine this is something then that you're able to do even outside of your aesthetic. Like if you can go into somebody else's process and muddle.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing is trying to keep your aesthetic out of that.
I've been told, and I believe that when you are doing that kind of work, that it's important that you have your own practice so that you can have an outlet for those things. You don't try to push them on someone else.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Although, like with anybody, if you have the interest of the person at hand, at the uppermost sort of priority, then your aesthetic falls off anyways. It falls off the chart. It's all about them.
The work.
Yeah.
Something else of note about you, Ted, is that you've done a lot of collaborating with some impressive people. You've collaborated with Amy Henderson's public recordings, who we were able to speak with recently when they were in town. You've also collaborated with Margie Gillis, and this time you're collaborating with Charles Quevillon. Tell me what's different about your collaborations versus your consultations.
Okay, well, it's very different because we're creating something. One thing I will say is that with Charles, we've been collaborating now exclusively pretty much for close to 7 years. So we've made now, he knows more than me. I think it's 19 works together. So it's a lot, some of them evening length. So that's different. It's almost like the difference I was talking about between mentorship and consultation.
A long-term relationship.
There's a very long-term collaboration, which actually allows us, so far anyways, it has allowed us to grow in our own directions, I think.
So do you continue to do work outside of your collaboration with Charles, or? Well,
my commissions, he writes all the music for. Anything that 10 Gates does, he writes the music for and he performs in. So the only thing he doesn't participate in, and he has actually participated in some of the consultations as well.
So in addition to yourself and Charles, Angie Cheng is also a part of this project. Can you tell us a little bit about Angie?
I can tell a little bit about Angie. I can tell about when I first met Angie, she came to a intensive at the barn. And then I think you and Thierry came to visit once, didn't you? And then I asked her and Thierry Huard to participate in Facets, which was this thing we did in 2015. So she was performing in that and creating in it. And then with Trust, basically I hurt my back and I got worried and I thought I should have somebody around who can take over in case I can't do this. So Angie's been great. We've been working for 2 weeks and she fills in the hard parts.
So I would love to ask you about the aesthetic of Trust and what it looks like, but I'm also tempted to ask Angie first, as a little bit further removed from
I think it might be.
Yeah. So basically, I'm asking for your description from your perspective of Trust as a performance.
I feel like I've talked about this before, but now I'm at a loss for words. I feel like my words don't properly describe it, but there's something magical and fantastical about the aesthetics. It's very... I don't know if otherworldly is the right word, but it definitely takes you somewhere else that is timeless.
What's Angie? What's it been like, sort of observing, knowing that you might have to hop in?
It's been hard because I've been watching it. I'm slightly, because it's not one of those things where you learn moves. So I can't watch it like that. I'm trying to watch it kind of like a an audience member to take things in, but then also picking up details of the essence of things. I feel like that's what it's been like. Trying to understand each moment and what it is instead of what it physically looks like. Because I did that, on Friday, just for lighting a little bit of that, and it didn't feel like I didn't capture it.
So it's much more about states than it is about set movements?
Yeah.
And then where does the, and this will probably be a question for Ted and for Charles, the inspiration for Trust, where does that come from?
The inspiration for Trust comes basically from the space in which we performed it first, which was the Defen Bunker in Carp. And we did the show last May, and we started working on the show before knowing where we were going to perform it. And as soon as we knew that and visit that space, the Defen Bunker, the piece completely changed. And so the space of the bunker, the hardness of the cement and the coldness, and also the sound, which is very reverberant, all inspired us.
And clearly you're taking over the space here at the Odd Box and kind of making it your own. You know, I came into a whole manner of things happening in the space. What can you tell us a little bit about kind of sets and props and your inhabiting the space here?
The sets and props?
Yeah.
That's giving it all away.
But they're important, are they not?
Because the activities that we do, basically the two of us, quote, three of us, we're doing things with other things. How else I can say it? And but it's not just, as Angie was saying, it's not just a matter of doing things with some objects. You have to imbue the objects with a certain amount of life, I suppose, and you have to, and because the space is alive, and particularly at the bunker, that's what we were working with, is that we're working with the echo and with this spaciousness.
So was there a lot of reconfiguring moving here from the bunker?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm still not sure if it's actually going to work, because going from a cement room that's 75 feet underground, that's 12 degrees, where the audience has to travel for about 50 minutes to get to the show. So they had to take a bus for 40 minutes. Then they had to travel down hallways, go down 5 flights of stairs, down another long hallway, and they saw us at the end of the hallway in a vault that was going to keep the gold in case of a nuclear attack. So this is quite a journey.
I mean, Arts Court is complicated, but nowhere near that much.
Nowhere near there.
Yeah.
So this was the project, actually. The residency was about what would happen if we just took the piece, the movement and the activities that we're doing and the sounds that are being made, and put those in a black box theater.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a question of distilling it down and seeing what's still there.
And see what exactly. See what the essence of this work is. So it's an investigation that way. And we'll see how that translates. Because I don't know yet. Because, we're just getting the lights together today. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see.
So not to keep pushing props and whatnot, but your promotional image is just stunning, and it's two, we imagine, are humans with houses for heads.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about where this image came from? Is this part of the show? Is this what is this?
Let me see. It's part of the show. We might as well give that away. I believe the start of this image came with Charles working for Facets with these bags, and so he created kind of some imagery with that. And then I'm not sure whether it was your idea or my idea. Then we put bamboo on, and then he started fooling around with that. So actually, this section is more his imagery and his stuff. And my thing was the houses. So I believe. So then putting that all together, that's how we it's sort of how we worked it. Just sort of a collaboration of imagery and sound and movement. And then once we knew we had a strong image, then we built the piece to make sense around a strong image. And then, it was a series of that, I think. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Sure
it sounds very intuitive, like driven
quite
by
intuitive,
intuition.
yeah. Nothing is really, once we get it there, then it's planned and done, but has to be rehearsed. It's quite exact what happens. We're not just improvising around.
That's a fair note, yeah.
Yeah.
Charles, can you give us some information about your artistic background and what you bring to the table in this collaboration, this ongoing collaboration?
What do I bring to the table?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I'm a musician, and I studied music composition in Montreal. And since 6 years, as part of a kind of school exchange 7 years ago, I encountered Ted, and we made this first piece. And there was, connection there, I think, on both sides. And so, our collaboration continue as more and more as we collaborate. I was more and more involved physically in the works we were doing. And we did a duet in 2012 called Charles and Ted Doing Things with Sticks. And and from that point, I think it sort of wasn't clear. Because I'm doing sound, but it's very physical, so it always involves a lot of movement, and so it becomes somewhat some kind of dance in a way.
And visual arts as well seems to be a very strong component in your work.
Yeah, I think that's mostly Ted's visual. I think he's been throughout his work.
But you're getting more and more visual.
Yeah, more and more visual. Apparently. So I'm bringing sound and movement and energy because I'm young and Ted is old. So
we discussed these things. It's all right.
Ted is also laughing at that.
Yeah.
We're safe.
No, but it's just that, there's kind of, I bring some kind of craziness or wildness to something that otherwise would be can be very calm and
that's
balanced.
interesting.
Yeah.
Lovely. So everyone else has had a turn to talk about trust. I'm going to ask you to talk about trust as well, which is a requiem for wood and stone, a primitive mystery of vulnerability and transformation. What more can you add to the conversation about what trust is as a show, a performance?
Yeah, I like to think trust as a ritual and some kind of, not associated with any religion or, but it is spiritual in that way that it's sort of, it helps me to relate to, like, let's say, to death or to infinite or those kind of things.
Wow. Wonderful. Is there anybody who has, after that, does anybody have any last words about trust in the performance at Séries, danse at Ottawa Dance Directive this month? Well, thank you very much for joining me. I've been speaking with Ted Robinson and Charles Quevillon and Angie Cheng, who are all performing in Trust by 10 Gates Dancing here at the Ottawa Dance Directive. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alice.
You've been listening to Dirty Feet. I'm Alison Burns with a few thank yous. First to Paula Flalo and the No More Radio Network. Also to Mainline Theatre and Montreal Improv Theatre. And to all present and past team members who can be found on our website, dirtyfeetpodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Dirty Feet Podcast and follow us on Twitter at Dirty Feet. Thank you for listening. Until next time. Stick around for a preview of our upcoming episode. I'm going to be focusing on the Contemporary Dance Diploma Program as offered by the School of Dance here in Ottawa. And I'm going to be speaking today with Sylvie Desrossiers, who is the director of the Contemporary Dance Program.
Well, I think it's exciting. Like I was in class this morning, just saying to the student that are here currently, I said, oh, you know that this weekend we have Simon Renaud, who's premiering a piece at the Citadel in Toronto. We have Alia Graham and Jocelyn Todd and Jessie Loth that are in England, in London, premiering a piece. And last weekend we had dancers performing with Social Growl in Toronto, and we had dancers in Montreal performing for Caroline Barrière, and we have a dancer that just got a contract with Compagnie Marie Chouinard, and another dancer that's working with Daniel Léveillé Danse. So I think the graduates are actually doing very, very well in the world of dance right now.